Hey guys, my name is Jonathan Reich. I'm a licensed CPA in the state of Louisiana. A lot of times you guys probably watch these videos because I do a lot of content creation centered around accounting platforms, who can make small businesses' lives easier, owners, founders, tools that they use for like AP, stuff like that. And today's video is going to be no different. So I'm really excited about today's video because it's a head-to-head between QuickBooks Online and a new accounting platform called Digits. And it's basically a toe-to-toe comparison, where they're strong, where they're weak, stuff like that. So really, let's go ahead and kick off. There's not much else to talk about. It's me comparing two accounting platforms. So the first one I want to talk about is QuickBooks Online. If you have used an accounting platform and you're a small business owner, chances are you probably have used QuickBooks Online, at least within the last 5 years. Prior to that, it may have been QuickBooks Desktop. So some of the pros and cons of QuickBooks Online: one, it's ubiquitous. Everyone and their dog has been on QuickBooks Online. They know how to use QuickBooks. You can get help for it from a bookkeeper, a director, director of finance, controller, folks like that. Like, most people are going to have some exposure to QuickBooks. And if they haven't, it's usually pretty quick and easy to learn if you are an accounting professional or like a staff accountant or somebody who's got a little savviness in them when it comes to using accounting platforms. So that's one of the pros. Another big pro is it can field all kinds of small businesses, anything from a roofing company to a mechanic shop to bookstore to cafe to construction company. It has all these different modules. Some of them are locked behind paywalls. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But it can do most businesses, unless you're just pushing a ton of volume or something of that nature. You're going to be able to use QuickBooks Online to run your business almost certainly. Or unless you're like a really niche business, perhaps maybe you're in the oil and gas space, there are specialized softwares out there for that. So keep that in mind. Those are some of the pros. Some of the cons, I'm just going to gloss right over that price associated with it. So Intuit has raised prices 2 or 3 times over the last 2 or 3 years. And I mean, they're not small increases either. I think, some of these platforms, some of these tiers have gone up, 30 to 50%. I mean, they are very, very high price increases. And, there's no indication that Intuit's going to slow down. They know they've got a decent product. They know that a lot of people will have it taken from their cold, dead hands. And so they have no problem billing you for that. And I personally feel like for what you get, you do have to pay quite a bit for. I think a lot of people have complacency whenever it comes to their accounting software, and they're not interested in changing because it takes a long time to learn. There's a lot of risk of data getting lost, stuff like that. So QuickBooks does take advantage of that. Their prices are relatively high. They do have promotional periods, but those are only good for 3 months. So you're still going to end up paying quite a bit for them. Some of the other cons are, if you are in a niche space, it may not work for you. Bank feeds can drop relatively frequently, especially if you're locked out. So you're constantly chasing and updating bank feeds. But hand in hand with that con, you've got a pro in that QuickBooks is able to integrate with just about any third-party platform out there. Anything from Stripe, Payroll, Square, ADP to the one small branch in rural Nebraska, they probably have a Plaid connection with them. So really impressed with the amount of integrations that QuickBooks has. Some of the other things that really excels at is it's got a ton of different reports, even at their basic level. So you do have options and access to just tons of different data. It really, to me, QuickBooks was made for accountants, and then a lot of small business owners said, hey, this isn't that bad, and they picked it up. So those are some of the highlights of QuickBooks. But what about this other platform over here? What's going on with the new guy on the block? So Digits just released in 22 or 23, if I'm not mistaken. Now I feel like I'm going to call myself a liar. But Digits is different from a lot of these legacy accounting platforms, especially in relation to QuickBooks. QuickBooks is the prime example. And it's one of the reasons I've been so looking forward to doing this comparison video. QuickBooks was built well before AI. I think QuickBooks first came out in the mid to early 90s. And so it's been around for a long time. Whereas Digits has just released in the last handful of years, after this AI craze kind of kicked off in late 2022. And so with that, Intuit basically added AI to QuickBooks as an afterthought. Whereas with Digits was built with AI at its core. And so Digits has been trained on over $825 billion worth of transactions. And so it's got this machine learning algorithm that basically makes it hands free. I'm gonna jump back over to QuickBooks real quick because I want to call something out. So if I go here to my homepage, this is one of the key differentiators that I want to make sure is like pointed out. I have not been in my personal QuickBooks in months. So all of this is it's not up to date. I haven't been sending invoices, haven't been booking bank transactions. I'm not sure if my bank feeds are broken, but this is your dashboard. This should not happen if you're using Digits. Digits with its AI is constantly booking things coming in through your bank integration. You don't have to touch it. And so everything here on your home screen feeds over from those bank transactions, your invoices, your bills, and then posts up to date financial statements all the time, 24/7. These agentic OIs that Digits is using here basically ensures that your business is up to date at all times. That's something that I'm guilty of. You know how they say don't look at a mechanic's car, don't look at an accountant's books. That's on me. I probably shouldn't be doing that, but Digits helps make sure that I don't fall behind. So if I do have those integrations set up, it's constantly running. Some other key features about Digits is just how easy it is to use. So one of the things that makes QuickBooks so ubiquitous is people don't want to change from it. People get scared that they're going to lose data. Maybe the platform isn't going to work for them. As I've been exploring Digits, I have not really felt that way. I think Digits is very intuitive. It's very easy to learn. It's got a similar setup to most of the other big boys out there who are running accounting platforms. You're going to have all your ribbons over here, and you can drill in and find just about anything you're going to need. And then within those like reports, you would expect to find the typical reports, financial, balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow, AR, aging. These are all the things that like when I send financials over to the bank on behalf of a client, this is what they're going to ask for. And it's all right here, just where you would expect it to be. It's going to look very similar to what you would expect it to be. So Digits is pretty easy to pick up as opposed to some of these other accounting platforms that may be a little overwhelming. It might be a little much for kind of the first time that someone has switched to a software. So I do think that's a pretty big strike in Digits' favor. Other things that Digits really does well is these agentic AI. So QuickBooks recently did integrate AI into their platform. You can see here it's got this little odd shape. It's a new shape. It's never existed before. That is a brand new shape. So uh, QuickBooks has that shape whenever they're making call outs. And I believe if I were to run a profit and loss report, keep in mind that this is not up to date. If QuickBooks says, hey, there is an anomaly here, maybe you should flag it, it'll have that little symbol for AI. So there's nothing here at the moment because I don't have anything for QuickBooks to flag. That was pushed in mid 2025. Digits is different because it was built with AI at the core. And so these agentic AIs are always going to be building out these transactions. And then if there's like a key call out that the agentic AI says, I'm not sure what this is for, it'll bubble it up to the surface. It's an exception. You can go over here to your inbox, which I have cleaned out. You go over to your inbox and you say, okay, what's for review? And that's it. And so it'll book like 95% of those transactions on your behalf. Other things that the agentic AIs can do. So here's your finance agent. It's going to say, did you realize that you spent $730 less on supplies and materials than you did? Or I'm sorry, more than you did last month. So here you can see August supply and materials in this nice little handy dandy chart that was automatically generated. Just want to make sure that that was called out. $1,048. So here we have $1,048. It'll show you what it was for. And then September, $1,778. Here's the two transactions. And then you can say, okay, well, this is Apple. This is probably a laptop or something like that. This may have been speakers or headphones, but you can drill into those subcategories and flip it to where it shows that $1,778 and shows what it was for. It was for computer expenses. That's why your September is a little higher than your August. And so that comes innately with Digits. So it has those call outs, it has those reviews. Similar. Okay, this is actually a big selling point to me. I really like this. You can pay bills directly from Digits. I don't believe you need the most expensive tier, which is their custom tier, which is a few $100s a month. I think you can get it on their core tier. You can pay invoices directly from Digits via ACH and ETF. With QuickBooks, I do believe you need access to the QuickBooks bill pay function, which is going to be another $38 a month for their introductory one. And then you're also very limited on the amount of ACHs you can send. That is not the case with Digits. So that's a big mark in their favor. Whenever you go to send out invoices here, you can send them out directly to your clients and customers, similar to how you would with QuickBooks Online. The difference is with QuickBooks Online, there are fees. I believe there's a 2.9% fee if you allow that customer to pay via credit card. And then there's a 1% ACH fee if you allow them to pay with like a bank ETF, bank to bank, from the customer's bank to your bank, up to $10, if I'm not mistaken, $10 or $15. So there is some cost associated with receiving that income. Digits does have a small cost, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I went ahead and pulled it up just because I wanted to be certain. So there are some very small transaction fees associated with receiving income via Digits, but it's not as much as QuickBooks. I do know that for a fact when I met with the Digits team to talk about some of the highlights and lowlights. So there are some fees, but the bill pay is included, unlike with QuickBooks Online bill pay. Other items, you're both going to have access to the standard reports. QuickBooks does have the reports. Overall, I'm really excited to see kind of what the Digits teams continues to release. I do think if you are a small business owner and you are considering getting an accounting platform because you want to bring all that in-house, maybe you've been using a software or a service like Pilot or Finta or something like that that's outsourced, and you're considering bringing it in-house, don't turn your nose up at Digits just because everyone else uses QuickBooks Online. I've been exploring the software. I've been really impressed with it. I think the price is fair. You're not going to get nickel and dimed. There's a ton going on under the hood to basically just hold your hand and make sure that you are able to generate accurate financials. And then if you have someone like a bookkeeper, staff accountant, or a CPA on hand, they're going to be able to utilize Digits much, much more effectively, much more powerfully, without having to jump through the hoops that you would for QuickBooks. So, and then the final thing is, and this is just me, but I really feel like Digits has the ability to become the new ubiquitous software simply because it has that name, Digits. It's almost as fitting as like QuickBooks or like McDonald's when you think of hamburgers. Like, to me, it just is one of those names. I'm like, this really is going to stick. So overall, really impressed with the platform. I'm excited to see where they end up going here in the near future. You can look at their changelog and see that they've been updating consistently, whereas QuickBooks hasn't really pushed any major updates other than that AI update in mid-2025, and then some alterations and small tweaks here and there, whereas like Digits is constantly adding things. I've talked to their team. They're talking about things like fixed asset modules to track depreciation, just like real big game changers like that to make your life even easier. So overall, really impressed with Digits specifically. QuickBooks does have that staying power. I know that a lot of people are going to continue to use it because it's what they're used to, but definitely give it a whirl. I've been very impressed with it. I've been very impressed with the responsiveness of their customer service. I'm impressed with the reports. I really think that there could be something here. So anyway, guys, thanks for checking me out, and on to the next.